What's going on, everybody? SPANK Gaming here, coming at you with another stream tip tutorial. Okay, today guys, I do want to talk about capture cards. Now, setting up your capture card is pretty self-explanatory, and in the instructions they do illustrate pretty well how to set these things up. I can't speak for AverMedia, but for Elgato it is a pretty straightforward process. The only thing that might get a little dicey is the internal graphics cards, or not graphics cards, I'm sorry, the internal capture cards. And you know, that just depends on how comfortable you are cracking open your PC and sliding a card into a PCI lane. The capture card that I use is the Elgato 4K60 Pro. The reason I do that is for a dual PC setup. I need a high refresh rate to get rid of some of the screen tearing. It doesn't eliminate it 100%. It's still there a little bit. It doesn't bother me. Nobody mentions anything. You can only see it really if you pause a frame. But I just want to show you guys a tip on how you can get all the vibrant colors of your game onto your game capture. Before we get into that, guys, please don't forget, if you enjoy this content and you want to see more of this content, make sure that you guys like and subscribe down below. Now, Elgato out of the box has some washed out colors. If you just go ahead and set up your capture card, you get your brand new Elgato HD60, HD60S, Elgato 4K60 Pro, or the new Mark II. You're gonna notice that, well, the game on my gaming PC or the game on my screen, my gaming screen, looks great, while as the game capture looks kind of washed out and hazy. It's because it's kind of set up that way. I've heard, I don't know anything about AverMedia, but I've heard that AverMedia has full RGB support, whereas Elgato does not have full RGB support. If you select any of the RGB options, you get all kinds of screen tear and jitter and weirdness happens. It looks great sitting still, but it's just not possible with the Elgatos. I don't know about the Mark IIs. I do have the older 4K60 Pro. Maybe I will get the Mark II as an upgrade. I was honestly thinking about AverMedia for the full RGB support, but we'll see in the future. But for now, I'm just going to take you guys into the 4K capture utility, and I'm going to show you guys how you can simply increase a few settings just to make your colors look like they do in the game. And then if you guys are on dual PC setup, I do want to just talk about a little bit about how you can get your setup, a few ways you can get your setup for high refresh rate. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get into the video. All right guys, now that you've got your capture card in place, you followed the instructions, you have everything set up correctly, and the next thing you're going to do is you're going to download some of the software that comes with the Elgato. It should link you to where you can get all these downloaded. If you have the 4K Pro, you're going to want the 4K capture utility. This also works with your Elgato Cam Link as well. And then you have Game Capture HD for any of your other Elgato capture cards. Now, there's also sound capture here. I don't use that. My experiences with sound capture wasn't very good. If somebody's really good and well versed at it, I'm sure it's an awesome resource, but it just never really worked that great for me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to open up the 4K capture utility, which I already have open down here. And this is the capture from my gaming PC. So now what we're going to do is this is a really simple tip, guys, and it's going to feel really dumb, but you want to do this in the capture utility and not in your OBS. You don't want to go to your OBS and do what's called post-processing effects. You can do that. There's really not an issue with it. It's just a whole lot better if you do it at the original source, which is the 4K capture utility. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on your preferences tab here, and you're going to go to picture. Now, if you have a little bit of haze, that's usually due to like a film almost. It's like a haze or a film a little bit over. Usually due to overexposure, like more gamma, or in this form brightness. So you can knock the brightness down a little bit, but as you see, my colors, they look pretty okay. I'm gonna go ahead and full size this. Here, let's close this out. Let's full size this. It's gonna look weird. But this is the true colors of the screen that is on my gaming PC's monitor right now. So all I had to do for my case was increase the saturation to 26. Now you can play around with this, and if I drop it back down to say 0, now what I'm looking at on my gaming PC, on the screen that I have set up for it, the monitor I've set up for it, like say for the Apex Legends logo here or the TurboTax logo, is bright red on my gaming monitor, but over here it looks kind of washed out, and this transfers over to the game and makes a big visual impact for me. So I like to bump this up. So if we go back a little bit, you can see it's going to knock a lot more of that color out. And if we bring this up to where I had it before, which is roughly 26, now I'm looking at my gaming monitor, which is what this is capturing. And the colors to me look exactly the same now. And that's all I want. I don't want to make things too punchy. I can get crazy and add some contrast and all that stuff. And I've seen some people do that, and it looks okay, but it's not natural to the game. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to that. But yeah, it's real simple. Just add some saturation to it and you're good to go. You can also do this in OBS, but like I said, that is technically considered post-processing. I'm not a big fan of that. It does take some, CPU resources and all that good stuff. Doing it this way is much more natural and keeps those resources down. Now, I did say I wanted to talk a little bit about dual PC setup here and how to get high refresh rates out of your 4K capture utility. I don't think that you can do this with Game Capture HD, but I've heard that there are ways to do it. Probably lots of videos out there. But see how my source up top says 1080p 239. Now, capture is still limited to 60 megabits or 60 hertz, 1080p 60. Right? So now what you can do is you go to general and you make sure that the format is the same format that your gaming monitor is in. In my case, it's 1080p. I have the 1080p Alienware 25-inch or 24.5-inch gaming monitor, and it has HDMI. It's capable of doing HDMI and high refresh rates. But what you would do here is make sure again that that's at 1080p, and then you would go to your device right here, and of course you have your 4K Pro selected, and HDMI color range bypass, same as input. That's important that you do that. You only have these other options, and it's just not good to mess with any of that. And as long as you have a monitor that is like mine and you're able to run an HDMI in and an HDMI out of the capture card, and you can still put out high refresh rates with your monitor because it supports HDMI through high refresh rates, then you would just leave this as input, EDI mode as display, and EDI mode, just leave that as default. The internal, leave that as default. Now, if you have a monitor that is not capable of high refresh rates with HDMI, and you can only get high refresh rates using the direct port, then what you would do is the input EDI or EDID mode, you would then put as internal. You would click that as internal, and once that was set to internal, then you would go here and you would select what your monitor's refresh rate is. So then we'll take you over. I'm just going to go ahead and full screen this to make it easy. So then what you would do, now this is my gaming PC right here now. What you would do is you would right click on the screen and you would go to NVIDIA control panel, and you would go to your resolutions. You can see I have the Dell Alienware 2518HF, just in case you wanted to know what monitor is capable of HDMI high refresh rates. And then you would go down here to the resolutions. It would be over here, display, and change resolution. You would change it to whatever resolution you're playing on. In my case, I can only hit 1920 by 1080. And then your refresh rate of choice will show up in this drop down menu. And then that is going to reflect up here where my mouse cursor is in the source, 1080p by 239. Now, in the case that you don't have, like I was saying before, HDMI compatible monitor through high refresh rates. Then what you're going to do is in your display settings. So in your display settings, you will have a third little window here, and that is going to depict your Elgato, because the way you're going to set this up is you're going to have a direct port cable coming from your graphics card of your gaming PC into your gaming monitor. You're also going to be having an HDMI cable coming out of your, preferably an HDMI 3.0 or better, coming out of your gaming PC's graphics card into the capture card, the in port. It will be labeled in, and you will have nothing coming out of the out. So now what you will do is you'll have it show up as another monitor here. It will do that automatically. And then what you'll go is down to here where it says multiple displays, and you would clone. You would say duplicate these displays. When you click on that, it will have you duplicate it with that Elgato capture card. And essentially what you will be doing is running one monitor through two monitors. Essentially you'll be cloning it. So that's how you do that. You set that up to clone it. Epos Vox had a great video on that. If you guys look up Epos Vox, EPOSVOX, look him up on YouTube, and he'll show you how to set up the Elgato 4K Pro for high refresh rates, and it's a great video. That's the one I use to help myself set it up. If you have any further questions on how to set it up for a dual PC. But that was it for the little trick that I have for you guys. Just simply increase the saturation and you're good to go, and it's gonna look great, and bump down the brightness if you absolutely need to. Well, there we have it, guys. I know it's a really easy tip. It's quite simple. But guys, I wanted to address this because I do go to a lot of streams, and I noticed that a lot of people will have their Elgato set up just by default, and I can tell because the colors are quite washed out from what the game actually looks like. And I figured I'd put this video out there and help somebody out, add some more color and some pop to their stream, bring out that, you know, full color range without full RGB support, kind of a workaround, if you will. But just a reminder, guys, I do stream to Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Link in the description down below. And also, guys, please follow my socials. I always post clips to Instagram. And then on Twitter, that's where we have our discussions about either streaming or we discuss Apex Legends or whatever games we're into at the moment. Discuss new games coming out. I really like Twitter for that fact. And then if you guys ever need any help, you guys can come by the stream and get the link to my Discord. Hop into my Discord. I'm helping out people all the time. I love helping the community out, getting people out there enjoying the same hobby that I've enjoyed for the last couple of years. But that's it, guys. That's all I have for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for the love and the support, guys. Have a great night and happy streaming, everybody.
Do you want me to just grab it for you?
Dude, have you seen the Loba glitch yet, Native?
No.
Check this out here. I'm gonna grab this Phoenix kit since it's purple and you can see it. I'm gonna place it right here by this window. Okay, yeah. So come here, because you can see it through the wall, right? Right. So come here, and then crouch down up against the window there, and then WS as you're looking at it, and you can pull it through. Keep doing that. Yeah. Keep.
What the fuck are you doing behind me? Touching my ass? Get out of here! Don't abuse my thickness like that.
What was he doing, bro?
Got him!
Finger in my butthole. He had me going back and forth. He wanted that thickness,
dirty, bro.
He wanted that thickness.